can you
Hey,
hear me?
Porter.
Hey,
Oh, hang on. There you are.
Oh, how are you guys?
yeah, good.
Good. It's been a good week.
Good week. It is a good week. I was stoked. When I saw that comment come in the group, dude, I was jacked because it's been a while since we've seen one.
Uh, yeah, okay. Oh, good.
So it's been, well, people are landing deals, but they're not sharing them. So thanks for sharing it.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to share the wins, but I'll probably also share the losses as we go.
We all have them. It's perfect. Okay, so this is good. So you guys are obviously in Australia, right?
Yeah.
So what time is it there? Just so everyone's aware, it's the time difference.
Yeah, sure. So it's 9 a.m. here. We're about an hour south of Sydney.
Gotcha. Cool. And you guys have well, I guess so. You're Sarah, and then remind me your guys' names so everyone knows.
Yeah, I'm Ness.
Ness,
Yeah.
Ness and Sarah, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's just get into it then. So you guys are living in Australia. How long have you guys known about Rank and
So pretty much all me. I've just got Ness on board. So
I'm just the cheer squad in the background.
Rent?
she does what she's told though. Yeah, so I've known about Rank and Rent for a couple of years. I think when I spoke to you initially, I was saying I think I started dabbling like 2021, but then I rethought it. It was 2022, and I remember I'd heard of the concept. And then I was recovering from an injury, and I was in the gym a lot doing my rehab, and I started listening to a lot of podcasts, and I already did SEO, so I already got that side of it. But I found working with clients infuriating, to be honest. I'd had multiple experiences where it was just a headache. And yeah, I loved the idea of Rank and Rent. It just sort of removed a whole lot of the pain points that I had. And then I sort of discovered Nick in 2022 and was just listening to a few of his videos, and that sort of just increased over time. So initially I didn't quite agree with the whole pre-selling thing. I was intrigued by it, but I kind of went, oh, it just feels a bit dodgy. And I don't like doing the wrong thing or sort of thing. That's how it felt. It's sort of, something sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
And so but I was interested. So I just kept listening and I kept plugging away, and I built a couple of sites that, was just getting them to rank organically. I didn't understand the best way to do the due diligence as far as looking for search volume. I literally was looking at where I picked a high ticket niche, and then I would find a city where I'd look at the first page of Google and go, they're rubbish, I can take them. And that was pretty much all I was basing it off. And a decent population. So yeah, actually doing the due diligence with search volume, the more I listened to Nick and the more I sort of started trawling through hours of videos and the free group and just picking up little nuggets here and there, I started realizing where I'd gone wrong as well. So yeah, I had sold a website about June last year. That was my first client. And I've still got him. That's going really well, and that's been running purely organic. And then I've got another one in Sydney that I've had on a bit of a trial since late last year, and it's just organic. And I was hoping it would actually increase in the call volume. It hasn't, and of course, learning this, I've gone back and done the due diligence, and I've realised it probably won't increase that much because of the call volume in that area. So I just know I'll have to keep it at a lower price point, that one. But yeah, so yes, probably 2 years. And then I realized the penny started to drop about 3 months ago. I was like, I've sifted every nugget I can out of the free stuff. I've hit a ceiling, and I need to get in. And then, yeah, we joined on the 5th of Feb, and on the 28th, I landed this guy. So it's, yeah.
That's awesome.
That decision.
That's awesome. So you are, this is actually cool because you're one of those people that I feel like, I mean, you've done the free stuff, right? Like you've done as much as you possibly could, and like you got deals, but like now that you're in, you're like, oh, Now it makes sense. Now you're going to just kind of take off, right? I mean, it's good that you've got the information, but now it's going to be so much easier for you to get to that point a lot faster.
Yeah, look, the free stuff has been unreal. And I think it helped me figure out exactly where my gaps in learning were. So I'm confident in my SEO skills. I've tested that several times and I've proven I can do what I need to do. But I didn't understand ads. I tried dabbling in ads and I just hadn't got a good return there. And I knew I didn't know what I was doing. And I have no sales experience and I'm terrified of sales. Like that has by far been the hardest thing. I just wanted to communicate with people via text. And then after there'd been a lot of text, and if they were, within an hour's distance, I'd been meeting up with them face to face. Let's have a coffee. Let's talk, because that's less scary than the phone for me. But yeah, so that side of it, again, I just went, that's where I need help. So
yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so that's cool. So let's talk about the deal. So what niche was it? What in how much was it for?
So with this one, it was concrete. Yeah, so this one that we just landed was concrete. It was an existing site. So I had built this site last year, and it did rank well organically for some keywords. But because it had been so slow, I've been focusing more on other websites and other projects, and I hadn't been pushing it that hard because I just hadn't seen great results straight away. So it sort of dropped down the priority list for me. So yeah, concrete, it was in actually my local area. And yeah, once I went through and did the proper due diligence, and like I've got a couple of these sort of underperforming sites, but like you guys said, like by all means, if the numbers add up, run with it. And if they don't, start with something fresh. And but when I ran the numbers on this, they did add up. So I was like, okay, let's go with this. And man, the moment ads started working, it had been starting to pick up a little bit organically, but yeah, basically I think I had 2 phone calls early in the first week of Feb, and then I think I got something like 4 in one day once the ads started kicking in. And I was like, okay, here we go. And so I'd already been sort of liaising with a business owner, which was good. And then I just started going, okay, so I did like the Zoom pre-close, and Zoom actually failed when we were going to do our final closing call. So he couldn't hear or see me. I couldn't hear or see him. I could see like his little avatar sort of thing on the screen, but I'm going, so I was like, okay, it's not perfect. We're just going to have to do it on the phone. So luckily the pre-close Zoom had been quite thorough. And so then we just had a really long chat on the phone, and I sort of talked him back through what we'd looked at on the screen. And yeah, it's still, as it sort of went on, it's almost an hour on the phone to him. But as we got to about the 45 minute mark, I was like, yeah, we're in. It's, yeah, so I wasn't sure if he was going to balk on price, but he was a little bit unsure about price. But I've just sort of said, just do it for 3 months. If it's not right for you, then we're not the right fit anyway. And so I think, yeah, I took that pressure off too, and just went, like, I know I'm getting calls. So if this isn't good for you, I'll tee up with someone who it is good for. And either it's good for you and we keep working, or it's not good for you and sweet. Yeah, all good.
Dang, that's awesome. Okay, so it's a local area. Guys, concrete's still working, guys. I don't know. Isn't it crazy, guys? Like, I know you're in Australia, but dude, I've had so many people like, is concrete saturated? It's like, dude, half these lead gen sites are not even sold yet. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you do see one, call the number. Most likely it's not even sold. You could still sell it. So I'm just jacked that another concrete is getting sold.
Yeah, yeah. I must admit, look, when we were doing the due diligence, you can see a shitload of concrete lead gen sites, and you can tell which one's a flat fee mastery, there's that certain look about them. But they're everywhere. And so, yeah, there are a lot in concrete, but yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's a reason to be put off. Just do it better.
I know, seriously, just do a little bit better. That's cool. So that's interesting that you said that. So you're terrified of so how do you guys split it up? Like, did you do SEO? And then do you do like sales? Like, how do you guys do that?
So basically, she does everything except I've been doing the due diligence.
Yeah, I did one lot of due diligence, so I knew exactly what Ness was doing as well. And then I think the first one that then Ness did without me, we then went through it together afterwards and made sure we agreed with, same sort of opinions. And then, yeah, pretty much Ness has just been going through and going, these are the ones I think you should look at first. So I have got 2 1-pages running with ads. One of them is probably looking stronger than the other, and I've been getting calls for that already. Even that. So again, I used to think this was like, oh, I don't know, rent and rank. And I launched one in a different state. And I'd launched it about 8 o'clock at night. And at about 11:30 a.m. the next day, I got my first call from that area. And I was like, mind blown. Like, that would have taken me months to get that first call. So yeah, just the logic makes so much sense. And it just took a while for the penny to drop, I think.
Yeah. No, I get it. Well, it's different. And first of all, I mean, that's the thing even when I first heard about it, I was like, dude, that seems too simple. Right? It's like, how do you like throw up a landing page and not know anything about SEO and like get leads and sell? Like, it kind of was just like, how does it happen that fast? But like when you sell 1 or 2, you're like, holy cow. Like now it's just like the ranking part. Obviously that's where the money is when you start to rank and you have to pay for the ads. But dude, it's eye-opening to realize that like you could take this as far as you want. You could get as many deals as you want. And that's the joy of it. But I want to focus on Australia too, because I've had a lot of people where they're like, okay, like the time's different, like the niches are different. Like I actually even heard that concrete is hard over there because concrete's not so big. You know what I'm saying? So how was that for you guys? Like, was concrete like the first niche that you've ever done? Like, did you feel like it could work, it couldn't work? Like, what are your thoughts?
So it's interesting. The 2 sites that I have sold prior to jumping on the paid program were both in roofing. And I know you guys are like, no roofing. But I think maybe roofing here is a bit different to the roofing in the US. So mine are mostly focusing on roof repair and roof restorations, which is, sort of fix up what needs fixing, clean, reseal, paint, that kind of job. It's not a complete roof replacement, whereas I think maybe roofing over there is more like doing a re-roof, an entire re-roof. I'm not sure. That's just sort of what I could tell, but it doesn't seem to be overly dominated by big brands over here. Like I've got a roofing site in this area and I'm beating the big boys down here. And they're like the big branded sort of one, but they're still not, it's not like big nationwide sort of roofing companies. So yeah, for me, that's been something I've already kind of found to be a good little playground. And so now that I've got the extra stuff that I've learnt with you guys, I'm keen to come at that now with sort of a different perspective and see what else, how I can go with that. But yeah, this was my first concrete site. And as I said, I had been building it organically. But yeah, I'm already getting calls for these 2 1-pages that I've set up, and they're both concrete. So pretty much just, moving fast with the program. I just went, the numbers looked good for concrete when I ran them. And so I just kind of went, yeah, let's have a go. But I do now want to go and do a couple more in my little roofing playground because, yeah, that's been good as well. And I figure if I could get results doing it the slow way in roofing, then maybe I can get good results this way.
And my thoughts too was, I think whatever niche you look at, you can always go, oh, maybe I shouldn't do it because, and you can look for a reason not to do it, or you just do it, you run the ads and see what happens, and then So that's kind of the good bit. You test it out, and if it's good, you go, and if not, you move on to the next one.
I know. Well, and that's the thing is it should be that simple, but I've had people that it's like the hardest thing to pick the niche. But I love that mindset. Like it's true. It's like you could either go out traditionally, try a niche, build it out, do the hours, spend all the time, and then it not work and it just sit there. Or you could just be like, hey, let's just try it. Like obviously, like take what people have told you, and then try it. If it doesn't work, you spend a couple $100, 2 weeks, and cut it off, and then pick a new city. So it's so true. You just got to realize like it's really not it doesn't cost as much as a lot of people think it does. I think you guys froze. Are you guys there? Oh, guys, this US Wi-Fi is just doing me dirty. Guys, I do not know what is going on with this Wi-Fi. All right, all right, guys. I don't know what's going on. We just lost them. Hopefully they'll hop back on. But the Wi-Fi, it says I got full bars. Okay, I'm blaming it on them over there. Okay, I don't think it's me. But whoever Connor Ream said Africa is better than the States, and he's actually speaking truth right now because this is crazy. All right, guys, I just let him in. Let's see. All right, we're back.
Hey, sorry about that. We do have kind of sketchy internet here.
No worries. I was like, dude, my Wi-Fi is terrible. Connor Ream said that the Wi-Fi in Sierra Leone was better, and yeah, I'm starting to think that.
Australia sucks for that. But
That's
yeah, so what were we saying? Yeah, about like just doing something anyway.
Just do it.
Then just not overthinking it. But I think that's what I've loved about this model is we can test something for like I've just sold one for $1,500 a month, right? Now I just kind of go, that now pays for me to test, a handful of other sites with what I've earned off that one this month. So rather than wasting 3-6 months trying to see if these things are getting calls, and they don't really get going till after 6 months.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
lot of the time, I think, before they really getting the volume in there. So this has been game changing.
And I think even if you get a successful site where you got leads coming in, but you can't find a business owner, same thing, like turn the ads off and move on.
Yeah, move on and test it again in 6 months, like
Come back.
Yeah. So and I think the other thing I think I watched the interview with Jerry, and he said something about like he always thought some people are like cagey about saying, "Oh, I'm getting these leads off a one pager if the business owner asks," but the way he worded it made total sense as well. Of just going, well, actually, I test out to make sure I can get you some good calls in the area with this landing page. And then once I know that I do have someone that wants to work with me, of course, I'm going to build this website out. It's going to have more pages. And then when I was talking to my guy on the phone the other day, he had a few questions about that. And I had an actual website at least at that point. But I said to him, oh, look, it's a very generic, he didn't actually ask to see it. It's a pretty generic website at the moment. It looks professional and everything, but it's fairly generic. I said, but once I know, once you sign on for longer than 3 months and we're definitely working together, if you want to have some of your own sort of colors on there, your own branding, I'd love to slap a picture of you or your truck on the about page and make it a little bit more personalized. It's, performs better that way anyway. And he sort of liked the idea of that. But I just said to him, well, look, I just want to make sure I've got someone to partner up with first. So, yeah.
Well, and I heard this one time. It's like, do concrete contractors, and you could ask it for whoever it is, but it's like, dude, do you go lay a slab of concrete in a field and then just like try to sell it like as poured?
Yeah.
No. It's like you sell it, then you pour it. It's like the same thing. It's like, dude, we're doing the same thing. We're selling it. If everything looks good, we'll go in, we'll spend the time and the money to do it. But it's the same thing. It's just an expense that we don't want to do if it's not worth it. And every business owner is like, oh yeah, that
it makes so much sense.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. So you said that you're scared of the phone. Like, how have you been able to overcome that? Do you feel like it's easier, or do you feel like you have to just prep yourself every single day? You're like, I just got to get on the phone.
There's been a lot of pacing around my house. Like it's the same body language as when I'm like psyching up to put a container over a huntsman spider to catch it. Like it's that, like the prospecting call is definitely the hardest for sure. It's that because otherwise you've sort of already been chatting to someone, they're expecting you to talk to them and I think I'm okay with the final close to just go in with it with the mindset of if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. Like you don't want to convince someone to do it because then to be honest, you're pushing shit uphill from the beginning, like it's you're just making life hard. And I I think you either have someone that this is a good fit or it's not. And I'm not trying to con them. I want genuinely, we want to work together. So it's the prospecting calls. But Ness has sort of said to me, like, so our day job is we're both firefighters. Ness 20 years, me 17 or 22 for you, I think.
Long time.
And before that, I was in the cops. And Ness has sort of said to me, what's the worst? If this goes wrong, what are they going to do? They're going to tell you to F off, hang up. She said, normally at work, if something goes wrong, someone could die.
Yeah.
And so I've tried to keep that perspective. Like, why am I more scared of ringing some concreter in Queensland than I am of, going into a burning building? But I am.
It's weird. I don't know why, but dude, the phone it's weird. And I think it's like ours, like for me, I remember when I would make calls and I like the first time I did, I called. And when the guy picked up, I think I hung up. Like I was like, oh, like I like froze. I was like,
I
dude,
can so relate to that.
Yeah, and then the second one, I was so robotic that the guy's like, yeah, not interested. And I was like, sheesh, dude, like this is hard. Like I don't know why people are landing deals. Like it was like blew my mind. But I love that mentality. You do have to like kind of psych yourself out. You have to be like, hey, what's the worst that can happen? One, I mean, unless it's in your same city, that's one thing. But it's like most of the time, it's across the states. You're never going to see them again. It's like, and half the time people forget about it. You could probably call them up the year later and maybe even sell them. So you have to have this mindset when making those calls.
So one thing I have found doing the prospecting, so this particular site that I just sold, I kind of didn't have to do the prospecting because I'd already been communicating. I'd just been texting him, but I'd already been communicating with a local guy. I'd sent him a couple. And so, there certainly it wasn't that cold intro. But because I've been doing some prospecting for these one pages, I have had twice now, I think. I've had someone, they sounded like they were hooked. I sent them a job. Once was a live transfer. The other one couldn't line it up, tried a couple of times, and I ended up just saying, here are their details. I'll check in with you after. But even the live transfer, I listened in, the merge went well, and I was like, yep, finally, that went well. And both those two then, after they've taken the one lead and they've ghosted me.
Yeah.
And that sort of shocked me. Like, to be honest, I was just kind of like, these are grown men. Like, have a spine, man. If you don't want to do it, just go, nah, no thanks. Like, the idea that they've kind of gone, yeah, okay, no worries, let's see how it goes. They've taken a call and then, not answering calls, not answering my texts. I've just kind of gone off, I'm fine, I'll move on, who can be bothered? But I was just surprised that they didn't just shut me down on the phone. So even that has been a learning that, okay, they might sound like they're agreeable on the phone, but like Nick said, like they actually just don't want to say no. And I've done the whole, hey, just so you know, if you don't want to work with me, just say, like, if you don't want to do this, I won't waste your time. I've done that, but they've still just kind of gone, okay, I guess they get the 1 free call. But I've just kind of gone, they weren't the right fit. So that's good. I can scratch them off the list. It's, but that surprised me, actually. I just thought they would be rude.
I know. Well, and I say this so much, but like when you first start, you're so emotionally attached to everything you do. It's like you get offended once, you think it's your fault. You're like, what did I do wrong? And you feel bad for yourself. And then you start to realize it's like, dude, it's just how it happened. It's like you have to go through a bunch of crap to get through the good, and you have to get through the bad business owners to find the good ones. And so even like I would hate just calling my business owners to check up on them because I had lost some doing that. I've called to say, hey, how are things going? And it was almost like I was like reminding them of like, oh, they're not getting enough leads or like it's not going as well as I promised. And so even I had fear of like calling my business owners. And now I'm just like, hey, if they drop me, it's like, if they're not closing deals, they're going to drop me, which is my fault, right? But also them. So that could be two parts. But at the same time, it's like you can't worry about that. You can't just like have that one thing affect the rest of the month, the rest of the year. It's like you just have to be very steady. You have to be consistent, and you can't let the little things bother you because as soon as you do, it'll literally stop you for months and months, and then it takes a couple months to even get back into this. It's like you have to just or with it have that thick skin, or it's just hard to get going in my experience. So that's
I
really
think
helpful.
too, with this model, if you run your one page and you're running ads to it, I know you're paying a bit of money for your ads, but it seems like a smaller investment than 6 months of organic SEO. So if you've done that and then you really want to get a business owner because you've worked for 6 months on this thing.
Yeah, I think they can smell the desperation in your voice then. Whereas if it's just the one page you threw up and you spend a couple of $100 on ads.
And
So
even though
true.
she said she's terrified of the phone, even over the last week prospecting for this new site that she's going to do, she's just going, oh, these tradies, they're hopeless. They won't answer the phone, like they won't get back to me. How can you run a business like this? And so she's almost frustrated that they won't ring back, but then going, oh well, bad luck. See you later. You're not going to be good for us anyway because you can't even answer the phone.
I actually connected with a really nice guy he was way down my list, but I had one poor customer that was like this little old darling who just wanted a little job, and she was quite stressed because she wanted to talk to someone. And I'd had a couple of guys stuff me around, and then she was like, this guy didn't ring. And
Yeah.
because that was one that I couldn't tee up a live transfer. And I actually, in this case, I just wanted to get little old Betty sorted out. I didn't care who took it, just I felt sorry for her, you know. And I went through my list and I found this guy, and I didn't even do the prospecting script. I pretty much just rang up and went, oh, look, I've been stuffed around by a few guys. I've kind of went off script. I've got this website. I get a few concrete calls coming in, and I've had a few guys that just won't help this poor lady out. They won't ring back. And we didn't even have a scripted call, but we ended up having a pretty good chat. And he was like, oh, yeah, a lot of these guys, they suck at that. Oh, I never do that. I always ring people back, you know, even if I can't help them, I'll talk to them. And I was like, and so we ended up talking, and he was like, oh, look, if you get stuck, feel free to yell out. And so for now, I'm like, I haven't hit him up, but we've built a connection already. And he's got family in the area that also do concreting. So already I've gone, well, we just had a good interaction. We'll see what happens. But yeah. So, and that was, me just getting the poops and just ringing up
Sometimes it takes just
to the guy rather than even prospecting, but it went well.
Well, and sometimes it
and yeah,
takes
there's been a few stuff ups.
Uh-huh.
I was just going to say, there's been a few stuff ups. Like we had 2 different cities that we set up almost at the same time, and it turns out that there's a suburb in both of those places that's the same name.
They're in different states, but they've got
and so we were prospecting a concreter in Victoria for a job in Queensland.
No way, dude.
That was a bit
Okay.
embarrassing.
But luckily Susan was cool about it.
Dude, that's hilarious. Hey, that's okay. I think Nick said he did that one time too, but he's like, he's getting these leads from somewhere else. And he's like, dude, what's going on? And it was in a different demographic area.
Yeah.
So you're not the only one. But no, I was just gonna say I've literally had that happen so many times where I've had a site and I was so desperate. I was like, bro, I had three guys that have tried so many business owners and can't get anyone to come out. And I was like, dude, if there would just be one, like you would close all these jobs and no one would take the free leads. I was blown away. And then like it took a while, and then I had to pause it. I came back to it like a year, like it was almost like a year later. I just was like, all right, let's try it again, and then I sold it, and it was all good. But dude, there's some times where you just find these business owners that are not good, and you just have to like stop focusing on it, try something else, get the momentum, and then come back to it. But totally get
well, even with that, I kind of went, well, that's just getting the information. Like potentially, there's great search volume. But these guys, there's not enough guys to do the job. So potentially there's great search volume, but these guys have just got jobs falling all over them and they're not looking for any more work. They've got enough work. And so I kind of went, well, that's good info back for us that we're going, okay, we've learnt that very quickly. In the space of a few weeks, we've gone, all right, this area has, supply is greater than, less than demand, whatever that is. Supply and demand. But yeah, basically we're not really wanted in that area at the moment. So again, you can sort of go, maybe we'll pause it, and then you might have some new startup guy who's just gone out on his own in 6 months, and maybe he's our guy. And he hasn't got any sort of, marketing up yet. But
it's so true. No, you guys are learning a lot. It's cool. It's cool to see like where you guys are at as far as like what you're overcoming. But what is well, what's the hardest part about being like selling in Australia? Like for you, is it the calls? Is it the like as far as like the area itself? You know, like what's the hardest
I
part?
reckon I reckon Aussies are very suspicious of like scams. Do you reckon?
Yeah, scams and just we don't like marketers
Yeah.
at all.
I think the moment you think you're being sold something, people are very cold. I mean, and that was part of why I hated just trying to do SEO before, because you're trying to convince someone to buy a service that they'll see results for in a bit. Like you can't even
Promise it really. You well, you can, but it's
you can't
being
even show them
hard.
what it's going to be yet. And people, yeah, it was a very hard sell.
And probably the other thing is Aussie tradies are probably no different to anywhere else, but they are really shit at getting back to
Yeah.
people.
Even just
Really.
from a consumer point of view, like we've seen that 100 times. It's
They don't turn up when they say they're going to. They don't ring you back. They're just hopeless.
Jeez,
they're good
Louise.
at what they do, just not the customer service bit. Yeah, so that's probably the hardest part too.
And then I think for us, like trying to separate the workload a bit, like she's doing pretty much everything. And I'm in my little channel. I'd like to probably get better at some of the other stuff to be able to help her more. But I think at the moment, I feel a little bit like she's done the ads, she's got the leads. And then if I was to do the prospecting and I couldn't hook someone, I'd feel like I had undone all her good work, which I know isn't probably true, but that's how I feel. So I feel almost like I've got to own one to then if I lose it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's what I said. We could just start, like Ness should start one from scratch herself. Like, I can help her, but she does the one pager. She goes through and follows the steps and does the ads. And then,
But that's probably what we'll do next, I
Yeah.
think. I've also got another site that I built that isn't getting leads organically. It's too expensive to run ads. So I'm trying to figure out a way I can maybe get some more leads for
because
that.
we've got someone that's interested in renting it.
Yeah, if
we can get a few more leads.
Yeah.
So I just got to figure that out too. But again, like I'm just learning SEO, whereas she's really good at it. So got to try and play to our strengths a little bit. I'm just not sure what mine are yet.
Well, hey, with that, what you should do is just figure out how much it would cost you to run ads and then pitch your business owner on that. Say, hey, from the looks of it, I got the site, it's gonna cost this much. And that way it's not like you're pulling out a number to charge him, but just be like, hey, in reality, it's expensive and you probably already know that, but I can get you leads, but it's gonna cost a little bit more because I gotta run ads. And most of the time, they're okay with that just because they know. You guys have probably already thought about that, but that's been one way that I've been able to do that if the area is competitive.
Yeah, right. I think I had just looked at the figures and gone, oh, it's too expensive because it doesn't fit the criteria. But if you've got a buyer as such,
You've just got to tell them the price point's going to be higher to still make your margin, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably a good point.
Yeah, just gotta make sure if you're aware. But yeah, if you have a buyer, it's like I don't think they care, right? Unless they're cheap. But if they're coming to you, most likely they're most likely to be solid. So
Yeah, if they're still
Yeah.
getting a return on investment, then it's worth it for them.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good idea.
yeah, so that's good. So what else? Just before you go, is it easier or is it harder than you expected? This whole process.
The results, like the idea of, as I said, that Queensland page that what was it? 15 hours from putting the ad on, I got my first call. That, like, I nearly fell over. That was a crack up. So in that regard, the idea of being able to test and see if something is worth investing more time and money into, and to get that feedback so quickly, like maybe not 15 hours, maybe 2 weeks, but to be able to get that feedback, that's so much better, really, than I thought. And the results, even from ads, knowing that I tried to play around with ads myself and had pretty average results, and then when you're doing the proper due diligence and running the ads the right way to get that feedback straight away, that side of it is like highly effective. So in a way, that's been like more powerful than I expected. But there is a lot of work to it. Like it's not, I've worked my ass off for the last couple of weeks. And even when I'm not doing it, I'm like just stressing about it, having to make calls or whatever. Yeah, there is a lot to it. It's not, you can explain the concept of what it is to someone, but there's so much more to it. So yeah, I would say the process, the principle is easy, and none of it's hard as in rocket science, but there is a lot of work involved. But every time something's hard, I keep saying to Ness, that's good. That's more people that will find that to be a roadblock or a speed bump and give up. Because that's one more opportunity for everyone that's willing to keep going. If it was too easy, everyone would be doing it.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing is I think a lot of people, they see this business model, they click on it, they're like, oh, dude, this is a quick to get rich scheme, right? Like it's like so simple, a year or whatever. But there's a lot of time, there's a lot of growing. But like I feel like over this course of a year or 2 years, or if you're doing this long term and maybe you have a problem with prospecting or SEO, like whatever your weaknesses are, like if you just stick with it, you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna get the deals. But yeah, that's the thing is, I love what you said. It's like it's not hard, but it's hard because the consistency of it. You have to do the boring stuff. You have to be willing to do the due diligence. You have to get on the Zoom call. You have to there's so many small things. Even just sending over the contract is kind of time consuming, right? But like when you do it and you see it from A to Z, it's like obvious. This is the alternative is much worse than this. Like I would rather be doing this than something else. And you just have to keep telling them that because it's really, I mean, it's beautiful. You can do it anywhere in the world. You can sit in AC. You could do whatever you want. But sometimes, dude, people are just lazy. So you just can't be lazy. Get your stuff done.
Yeah, and even knowing this, like, okay, you've got a client with a one pager. Realistically, if you want to make this thing profitable, you still need to go out and build out that website and do the SEO. So again, there's still more work to go if you're going to do this properly. But again, at least you know the work you're doing has a purpose.
Well,
you're getting paid for it already. You're not doing it hoping one day you'll get paid. So that's way better. But like that purely organic roofing site, my very first one, I put a fair bit of work and energy into that. But now I reckon I spend maybe an hour a month tops on that website, and it's paying me every month. And if I'd sold that website outright to a roofer who just said, will you build me a website, I would have maybe charged him $3 or $4 grand with it sort of optimized from the start, but not ongoing SEO. And so this one, like we're coming up to, I've made 10 grand off the guy and I'm only a year in. So yeah, and now I'm spending like an hour a month tops on it. So that side of it, you go, if you can do that 10 times, we're cheering.
I know, it's so true. No, I love it. And it's cool to talk to you guys from Australia too, because it is a little bit different. Like the business owner is different, the people are different. So you have to kind of adjust. And the fact that concrete is working in Australia just makes me so happy. Just there's so many people that have said it doesn't work. So I just love that you guys did that. That's awesome.
Sorry, you broke up a bit then. Can you repeat the last thing you said?
I just said, I just love that you guys landed the deal in concrete. Like for whatever reason, it's just great to see that. So keep doing it. Hopefully you got 3 more concrete sites just ready to sell and we'll be hearing from you.
Yeah,
that's the plan.
Giddy up.
Okay, let me go through some comments and then see if you guys have questions. We have like 8 people on. If they have questions in the next couple minutes, we'll answer them. And then, like I said, if you guys have questions, hit them up, like tag me or them, and we'll answer them in the comments or whatever. But these are great resources. Let's see. Christina said, Aussies are the worst, laughy face. I think she was talking about so that's
I don't even know what that means.
Is that us or the tradies?
I think the tradies or whatever. Okay. She said, oh man, the amount of times I've been ghosted after sending leads. And then Chris Andrew said, that's the hardest thing I found in Australia. So many tradies just have too much work coming in. So I think that's what they're meaning. Yeah, that's what I've heard too. Is it's like they're not hungry. They're not hungry to grow. It's like they're too busy anyways. That's one of the biggest things. That if I talk to people that are from Australia, that's like the biggest roadblock.
We are a very laid back people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's just going to be all about like the right person in the right place, and just realizing test it, try it, if we don't find anyone in an area, cool, pause it, move on, because the right people will connect with them, but that, you know, it might just be a little bit more sorting out to find them, a little bit more
I think
prospecting.
another thing that Sarah's got a slight advantage on over maybe some other people doing this is when she's doing a tradies list, she loves that stuff. She loves digging deep and going and finding people that no one else can find. She used to be in the cops, so she loves that investigating sort of thing.
Just snooping.
Yeah, she's really good at that, and she bloody loves it. It's kind of a bit creepy stalker, but I think maybe she might find people that other people would miss because she's pretty thorough with that bit too.
That's cool. Yeah, I know, dude. You just sit home at night on your phone, just stalking business owners. Like, oh, this
Little
one's
bit.
got a dog. This one's got a cat.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything that you would like to say to anyone in this group? I mean, if you were in the free group, like what is some advice that you would give someone?
Look, I think the big hesitation for me with the free group was the financial investment. I felt like I've already invested money into, I haven't done a heap of other courses or anything, but I did spend money on a like website buying and selling investing sort of course a few years ago. And through that group, I've still stayed on top of my SEO. I did like a diploma in digital marketing and stuff. So that was years ago, but I've spent family money. Like, we've got 3 kids. I've spent our money on that so far, and I haven't had a great return. Like, I've made money here and there. I do a website here and there, but I don't feel like I was very hesitant to take more money away from us as a family into this pursuit. But I mean, Ness is always very supportive, and she's always sort of said, well, sometimes you have to invest money to make money. But I think that was my big hesitation. And so I was literally panning for gold in that free group and all of his YouTube stuff and everything, just trying to, in comments and things, looking for little tidbits to help me on the way. But I would say to anyone in the free group, like, if you can identify what your points are where you're stuck, and for me, I knew it was ads and sales. Then that's like, for me, that's where the value was. For someone else, it might be the SEO. But I think, yeah, first, just like, do whatever you can by all means to play around with this, have a go, because you only realize where your weaknesses or where your learning gaps are by having a go and realizing where you get stuck or where you fail. And then, you know, have a chat to you guys and sort of go, is this going to fill in that gap for me? Is this the right fit? You know, maybe you do need to go do something else first, or you know, maybe you want to go do a little course in WordPress or something first. But again, to get those calls coming in, you know, I've been doing the one pages on Weebly. So my SEO stuff's in WordPress, but I'd never used Weebly before. Yeah, I think anyone can learn that. You know, that's easy. So yeah, I think just figure out what it is you need to learn. And then, like, for me, it's been absolute no-brainer. So yeah, 3 weeks, landed a client that over the course of a year, if he stays with me for a year, he's paid for the course and over. So yeah, for me, I've just got it. It makes
Just
so
a
much
speed
sense.
thing, I think.
Yeah.
Like, you can figure it out on your own, but you're probably not going to hit the mark as well, and it's going to take way longer.
Oh, so much longer. And geez, we're only here once. Like, let's get going.
Let's enjoy it.
Yeah.
No,
And I
I
think too, you almost feel like you've got a community around you cheering you on as well. I think that's good.
Yeah, that's nice.
It is nice. It is, and it's something that I think about all the time. Just the information. It's like, I don't want to say like I love when people share their losses, but in a way, it makes you feel like, hey, they're struggling too. Like, let's keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you just hear all the wins and like, man, I suck, dude. Like, no one else is having.
Oh,
anything.
you've got to share the losses, I reckon. You know, it's the only way. And someone goes, hey, that happened to me too. But then this happened. Okay, cool, keep going. You know.
Exactly. And it's cool. The environment is cool, and yeah, that's the thing. Is Nick's always like, figure out your time. What is your time worth? As soon as you figure that out, then you're gonna start to realize that, like, dude, yeah, you live once. You're gonna be on this earth. Like, why not freaking just make money younger so you can enjoy all these things, right? Like, don't waste 3 or 4 years. Like, do it in a year instead of 4. And so
Yeah.
that's actually really good. I like that. But yeah, anyone who's watching this or anyone that watches this replay, if you guys have questions, hit them up. They are a great resource. They're in Australia doing deals. Literally, I think you guys. I'm just betting in the next week you're gonna get another deal. I just feel like you're gonna be on the prospecting and you're gonna get a deal within the next week or two. So I'm excited to hear it. It'll be good.
Hope so.
It'll
Got
be
big
awesome.
plans.
Well, thank you guys for being on, and we'll be in touch.
No
Yeah,
worries.
thanks,
Talk to you
Laura.
soon. Good luck
Yeah.
back on the
Thank
farm.
you. Hey,
See
thank
ya.
you.